Hello and welcome to Garden Planning with a Biodynamic Moon Calendar for June 2024. My name is Katrina Wolf. My business is Blue Borage, and this is a guide for people in New Zealand. So June is the start of winter. So I like to start my monthly garden planning by sitting really quietly and just pondering what I have energy for this month ahead, what needs to be doing, what my goals are for the season, for the year, how that fits within sort of a 5-year, 10-year plan, and kind of let the land respond. So if that sounds appealing, then the chart on the left, this is a free download on my website. The link is in the description with this video, or you can just copy those headings, make up your own headings, but there's something quite satisfying about looking back at the end of the year, whenever you start the year, and seeing how you're tracking with your goals. So you can see on the right-hand side my notes for June 2024. Key dates for the month. We've got full moon on Saturday the 22nd, new moon on Friday the 7th. It's kind of midnight the 6th going into early morning on the 7th. Moon opposite Saturn is Friday the 14th. And then we start the month with 8 days in the descending. On the 8th, it shifts into the ascending period for 2 weeks and then back to descending from the 22nd to the 30th. And there are 3 lunar nodes, the 2nd, the 16th, and the 29th. So when I started using a biodynamic calendar, that was all the information I wanted to know each month. And I would go off and plan my gardening to fit with family commitments and whatnot. June is also interesting in that we've got the winter solstice and St. John's Day. St. John's is like the opposite of Christmas. So the 4 sort of Christian holidays which correlate with seasonal pagan festivals is this Easter, St. John's, Michaelmas, and Christmas. So a lot of indigenous cultures have their own seasonal holidays around those times of the year. And we've got Matariki, the public holiday, on Friday the 28th. So there's this lovely stillness for that solstice, which is very close to the full moon, which is kind of cool. Anyway, if that's all that you need, you can click out and go get planning. And from here on in, I'll be talking about my month that's been in the garden, what I've got coming up, and how I plan my gardening to align with the lunar calendar without compromising my commitments, if that makes sense. So here we are. I've changed things around a little bit. The photo at the top left, that is what I call the little granny flat. I sometimes call it base camp. And I moved here in, it was October 2021, but the little house was getting renovated for a few months that I think I actually properly moved in around March. So the photo in the middle is how it looked this morning. There's still a few leaves to come off the oak tree. I've got bags and bags of autumn leaves, and the garden is both filling up, but it's also entering that winter stage where there's not all that much height and color visible. The photo at the bottom on the left is the pollinator garden at the museum in Tuaco, which I first discovered October 2022. It's coming up for 1.5 years, around there. And then the photo on the right is how it looked a couple of weeks ago. So I'm really happy with this lush green vegetation. There's a lot of what some people would call weeds, but flowers that are growing naturally that the pollinators are getting. Month by month, there's less and less toxins in the soil. So the other garden, big focus for the month ahead. On the left, this is where my daughter Jessica lives in not Wellington, in Dunedin or Te Poti, with her daughter Hazel. And I just threw in some pictures of Hazel. Top one is her christening. I can't remember how old she was then. And then the next one along was my first trip down to Dunedin. I've been for 2 trips. One was exam season, end of last year, and then it was summer school. I might have the months wrong. Anyway, I am heading down there this week for the midwinter exams. It's going to be so cold. I don't like the cold. Anyway, how has the month been? Of my intentions for May, I got quite a bit done. I mean, a lot of it I knew it was going to be frantic with Organic Week and then International Compost Awareness Week. And I set the intention to just enjoy all those events. And I managed to squeeze in an extra event, which was giving a presentation to the staff team at Ceres Organics in Auckland. That was for Organic Week, the same day as my webinar, and I did it. What I didn't do was find chamomile flowers, and I didn't make a batch of CPP. Anyway, coming out of this webinar with Organic Week, there's a new online course which I'm calling Closing the Loop, the Art of Composting, and it will be all sorts of beginner-friendly tips, ways to make composting fit in your life without dealing with ugly equipment or smelly food scraps. So one of those ideas is this apartment-friendly worm farm, which I will recreate down in Dunedin and see if it suits Jessica and Hazel. And yeah, there's some links in the description with this video. Other big developments, I had an article or a couple of articles published in Heart and Soil magazine. This is based in Canada. So I had a Zoom call with the editor and I mean, she loves what I'm doing or trying to do. And she said, what's the message you'd like our audience to hear? And we chose the pollinator garden at the museum. And so there's a few pages with before and after pictures, and it really goes into the role of biodynamics in soil remediation to provide healthy flowers for pollinators in urban centers. So totally thrilled with that. In the description with this video, there'll be a link if you want to go take a look. And if you use the link that's like an affiliate code, then I can earn a small commission. But yeah, whether you use that link or any other link doesn't matter too much. So the other big thing, I did a public stir at the Dootsy downtown. So much fun. And then I went and spread that in Albert Park and Cornwall Park, and then the rest of it at home in the soil farm. And I'm thinking of no longer using the term soil farm, but instead start calling it a soil sanctuary. I'm just going to play with that idea. I have planted my first citrus tree, and it kind of feels like it's taken 2.5 years to settle enough that I want to buy trees to plant. I'm renting here. I don't know how long I'll live here, and my focus has been on turning the paddock into garden beds, working on the soil, growing the vegetables that I love, and the flowers, and of course the biodynamic preparations. So this is a new era that I've entered with a lemon tree. Pictures on the right, my kumara harvest. We had a sudden frost and the leaves all went this funny dark color and just like yeah, weren't happy. So I dug everything up. Wasn't a huge harvest, but to be honest, it's the first time I've grown kumara and I was thrilled. More developments for the month. Dudley here has done signs around the Tuakau Museum. And when I showed him the magazine article in Heart and Soil, and then asked him if he would do me a sign for the pollinator garden, I was so pleased to see this. He's given it a sort of an intentionally aged look. I just love the font, love the bees, love the colours, love the placement of it, and that these chaps are happy to support the pollinator garden like that. So thank you, Dudley, and everyone else at the museum. Goals for June. Here at the soil farm, I'm keeping the Make Betty 503 chamomile preparation. It will be winter if I do find the chamomile flowers, and that's okay. I would still like to make some CPP and yeah, looking for organic cow manure, and not just cow manure, but milking cows, like dairy cows. And now that I've planted one citrus tree, I want to plant more. And I found a little baby grapefruit seedling from the grapefruit tree that I had at Raspberry Lane. I've saved some seeds, and they germinated, and they were all in pots, and I neglected them. Some of them died, and I found this one tree yesterday that's still hanging on. So there will be seed sowing when I get back from Dunedin. In Auckland, the French Cafe Garden, still pondering finding an assistant gardener so that I don't need to do all that driving, and to use the restaurant garden as a meeting point for customers to come and get seedlings. So down in Dunedin, really want to explore what Jessica-friendly composting looks like, while being mindful that Jessica's in high stress exam mode. So it will probably end up being me having my winter holiday, with some creative writing time with the new course Closing the Loop, the art of composting. Oh my goodness, I'm looking out the window. I can see a chicken exploring where it shouldn't be. Anyway, and at the museum, carry on composting, and I need to share the magazine article with lots more people. If you would like me to email you the that they've done a special mini magazine with just my content that has the cover of the magazine and how to subscribe and some of their advertising, that I can send that around different people. Next up, super exciting, is a new project that starts in the middle of June with a native tree nursery. I'm calling this my winter project, and I get to help them turn this enormous burn pile and huge mound of weeds into soil. And so this is, fingers crossed, the chance to explore something that could be of use to the whole gardening industry. How to turn weeds into something useful. Over on the right, Tuakau Township, Circular Tuakau, Pōkeno and Whangarata are all sitting on the back burner, just waiting to see if I get any funding from the Waikato District Council. So park that for now. Now, looking at these goals, number one, have lots of fun with hazel. I can do that no matter what is happening in the biodynamic moon calendar. Number two, get into the burn pile and weeds question for the native tree nursery. I've got all of winter to do this, and the first stage is really looking at the volume that they're dealing with, the number of staff, the processes, how to upskill everyone, that we are actually going to kick that off without paying too much attention to the phase the moon is in. Number three, plant a couple of fruit trees, grapefruit and mandarin, and I am timing that. I've put that down towards the end of June and at the start of the descending period. Just like, I know it's good to plant trees in the cooler part of the year, but at the end of June heading into July, that's pretty cold, that I would rather time that with the optimal descending period. So what else? I've got DIY Almanac course. Oh, the other interesting thing with June is that there's a practice that a lot of the anthroposophical community follow called the 12 Holy Nights, which starts Christmas Eve and finishes on Epiphany, the 6th of January. And for most of, the Northern Hemisphere, that's a midwinter meditation that there's a few of us here in New Zealand that have looked at some of those midwinter meditation exercises and said, well, maybe we should be doing this at the end of June, start of July. So each year I like to just kind of reserve that as a possible quiet time to be more reflective, which fits with the winter solstice and the Matariki public holiday, which is, fingers crossed, each year it gets more and more a kind of societal reflection time that all fits quite beautifully. What else to say here? Oh, I've got this little note here. Apply BD 508 equisetum 48 hours before the full moon to prevent fungal disease for garlic and things. So I've planted my garlic. They haven't popped up yet, but that will be something that I would recommend if you have got garlic coming up to look into the equisetum. And I'll pop a link in the description. I've got a series of Zoom calls with my mentor, Allen Gorthy, and in one of them, he talks through the different remedies for preventing fungal issues in plants. Really, really interesting stuff. So as you can see, although I'm a biodynamic gardener and I follow the moon calendar, it doesn't have to be dogmatic, particularly if you're a home gardener. This would be very different if I was producing, if this wine grower and needed every grape to be optimized, or even if I was a market gardener producing vegetables and wanting the most resilient seedlings that could thrive in floods and droughts and heat and cold and taste delicious with minimal effort. But I'm not. Yeah. So that's it for the month. And as always, if you would like help planning your gardening tasks, please feel free to reach out. My email address is there, katrina@blueborage.co.nz. While I am down in Dunedin, I will be setting up a few office hours. So there will be a link in the description where you can book a session with me and talk through your plans. So all the best with your winter gardening and see you next time.